Is this real life? That was fake life. I was back there goofing around, but this is real life. What do we have first? A couple of videos. Windmill ball. It is gone, son. That was Luke and all his friends. Luke, where'd you find a windmill? Scotland? Nebraska. Nice. All right, this one is wild. Check this next one out. It's still blowing my mind. 1 cone, 2 cones, 3 cones, 4. Where are they coming from? It's black magic, they said. Okay, and then I think I have a couple of photos for you guys. That is vegetable oil. So, anybody doing that if you in your first car? Ethan, you've done that? How'd it go?
All worked great.
Okay, maybe she's smarter than I thought. All right, what's the next one? Okay, just a dude in his kitchen watching Shrek 2 on his fridge. Let's do the close-ups.
How do you watch Shrek 2?
There's the guy. And this is really on his fridge. How do you watch Shrek 2? I like that. All right.
Hi, everybody. Got a quick question for you. Is anyone here good at anything? Oh, really sad. You're good at something. Okay, yeah. Adam, what are you good at? What's a skill that you possess? Cooking. Heck yeah, dude. Can toast. That's good stuff. I can't do anything else. Yes, and I'm so sorry, but what's your name? Lena? Hi, Lena. What are you good at, Lena? Being annoying. I'm definitely not good at being annoying. I'm so bad at that, you guys. I'm like so chill and like cool. What else? Let's have one more. Yeah. What are you good at? Kind of what? Playing guitar? Dude. Heck yeah, man. Can you play a song? I guarantee you are better at guitar than I am. That's great. Well, I'm not good at any of those things. What if I just cried and I left? That's the last thing I said up here. I'm not good at anything. Good night. No, I'm not good at any of those things, but I'm good, semi-comparable at least at one thing. And that's talking, baby. Communication. Right up in here. And you might think talking, Judah, you can't be good at talking. It's talking. It's like saying that you're good at walking. Well, joke's on you. I'm really bad at walking. I'm no good. If you've ever seen me walk, my toes, first of all, I'm not getting ready to like shoot a hunting rifle. This is just my stance all the time. Toes out, 90-degree angles. If you see my footprints in the snow, it looks like a child trying to like draw a cartoon bird, or it's just the 2 lines. My older brother, there will be, we're going to talk about Christian stuff, but I just need to get this out of the way. My brother, when he was born, my older one, his toes pointed like way in like this. And my parents paid a lot of money and got him foot braces and got his toes straightened out. And then I came along and my toes pointed way out like this. And they went, yeah, he'll be good at other things. Because they didn't want to, they're like, we already bought 1 pair of braces and I feel like 2 would be too many. But talking, pretty good at talking. Talking specifically the idea of like taking an idea that's in my head and being able to put it into your head. That doesn't mean that you're going to agree with it or follow along, but it's at least effectively being able to take it from here to put it in there. And I believe that that's an extremely important thing to be able to do, right? Even if whatever you want to do in life has nothing to do with talking can still kind of get you there, right? So you're really good at math, you want to be an accountant, that's awesome, and then the day the interview comes, and you accidentally sneeze and yell a curse word and then run out crying. That's bad, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So, whether you are at a job interview or asking your parents for permission to do something or asking out somebody you like. Don't do that till you're 25, but if you did want to do that, or telling somebody about God, right? Being prepared to tell somebody about God. You need to be prepared to be able to do that. So I've broken down my super secret formula, and for 9 installments of $19.99, you too can know this. So I think the next slide breaks down the letters. If we can go to the next slide, let's see what that says, please. Oh, should I stay or should I go is my particular title. You'll see why in a minute. But basically, should I stay or should I go is like the question of if you're talking to somebody and you have to ask yourself if you want to bail from this conversation or if it's being productive or if you should move on ahead. So we'll talk about that. Go to the next slide if you could, please. AARP, right? The most important 4 letters that you could ever learn in your life. Now look, for those of you that are not 55 or above, AARP stands for the American Association of Retired Persons. So we won't be talking about that. In fact, I'll tell you what it stands for in a second. Because AARP is copyrighted, I did have a second idea for what to call this one. If we could go to the next slide, please. So this stands for, oh my gosh, stop being such a creepy weirdo. You felonious oaf, stop, please stop. It's entirely too long, and I can't pronounce the words. So we're going to go back to AARP. If you could go to the next slide, please. So beautiful. And they stand for, ask yourself if you should, ask them if you can. I might have written that down wrong. I talk good. Writing's a no. Writing's a no for me. Ask yourself if you should. Ask them if you can. Respect and honor their response. And proceed with preparation and confidence. Okay, so we remember these 4 letters, AARP. Let's move on to letter A, if we could. And this is where we'll get into some Bible verses. So, ask yourself if you should. What does this mean? Well, let's read from the book of Amos. Do we have the book of Amos up there? I can pull it up if not. That's perfectly fine. We do have it, dude. Amos 3 through 6, NIV. So for a little bit of context, in Amos, God is talking to his chosen people, and he's about to tell them about basically a decision he's made, which is weird to talk about when you're talking about God, and he's talking about something he's about to do for them, something that's coming in their life. And first, he wants to lay down some ground rules and explain why he's doing this. So he says, do 2 walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Does a lion roar in the thicket when it has no prey? Does it growl in its den when it has been caught, or when it has caught nothing? Does a bird swoop down to a trap on the ground when there's no bait? Does a trap spring up from the ground if it has not caught anything? When a trumpet sounds in a city, do not people tremble? When disaster comes to a city, has not the Lord caused it? So God right here is talking about something called reciprocity, right? So one thing happens because another thing happens. Several thousand years later, a guy named Newton will come up with Newton's third law. Does anyone know Newton's third law? Newton's third law of motion and dynamics? Anybody? Ooh, you want to try it? Okay, yes, that is one of Newton's laws of motion. His third one is, I'll start it. We'll see if we can finish it. For every action, basically, yeah. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you have a rocket ship and you're shooting it off to Mars, or you have a Tesla car and you're shooting it off into space because we don't have enough trash on Earth, I got really strong opinions about that. You shoot a rocket from Earth, right? But the rocket is not only going up, it's also slightly pushing the ground down a little bit. So for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So let's say, for example, you want to ask your parents if you can hang out with Jordan. I'm using Jordan because it's a gender-neutral name. Maybe it's a friend of yours. Maybe it's someone you're romantically interested in. Again, don't date till you're 30. I really hate the idea of any of you dating. It's disgusting. But I do realize that might be something you want to do, so we'll go with that. Usually, if you're like me, or you're like I was, you go to ask your parents. You're like, hey, mom and dad, can I hang out with Jordan? And they go, Where have you been for the last 2 years? You've been playing Fortnite and we haven't seen you. And who is Jordan? I didn't know you had friends. It's 10 p.m. on a Thursday. Why are you asking me now? And you go back to your room and you're mad because my parents don't understand me and they don't want me to hang out with Jordan, even though Jordan, he's got a cool car. It's really old, but he's got a cool car, and I like his hair. Or her, I forgot. Jordan's supposed to be gender neutral. It could be anybody. You never know. But Jordan could have cool hair no matter who they are, and also a car. But let's pump the brakes here a little bit, muchachos. Your parents don't know who Jordan is because you never told them about Jordan. You've been playing, I'll say Minecraft. Fortnite's now, I've never played Fortnite a day in my life, but I did play Minecraft when I was younger. They don't know anything about him or her. I keep saying him. They don't know Jordan. They don't know your pal Jordan. There's no reciprocity. So you need to ask yourself if you should. Should you even be asking your parents if you can hang out with Jordan? Did you ever talk about Jordan to them before? Hey, I've got this new friend. Their name is Jordan. They have no criminal record, just so you know, in case this comes up later. Or, hey, my parents, here's Jordan parents. Like, how about you two get to know each other so that later on when I ask you an important question, you're going to have some groundwork. Let's say you want to share the Word of God, right? You're super excited about your walk with Christ. You want to share it with somebody else, right? Well, first you need to ask yourself, is this person a person that you can share this news with, right? Will they receive it well? Or is your opinion one that they'll respect or listen to? Have you done the work leading up to this to show them that your opinion is worth listening to, that this God guy that you follow is worth following or at least worth hearing about? Have you ever talked about it before? Are they asking about it? Do they ever bring up that they might be interested, or have they ever asked any questions or have things going on in their life that may lead you to ask this? This is really important. If you want to ask somebody out on a date, ask this first. Are they friends with you? Are they interested in you? If your answer is, well, I'm nice, stop. Hang on, because that's not enough. I keep saying muchacho and hombre. I do not speak Spanish, and it's starting to feel offensive, but it's what I do when I'm nervous. But listen up, right? You being nice is not a good enough reason for somebody to want to go out with you. You knowing Mary Had a Little Lamb on the piano is not a good enough reason for somebody to go out with you. Are you friends with them? Have you proven that you are a trustworthy and kind person? Have you shown yourself to be somebody that they would want to spend time with? Have you proven that if you were to spend one time together, there's less than a 5% chance that you're going to abduct them somewhere? You need to prove these things first. Logan's not here, so I can't tell the full story, but I didn't do any of that stuff. And on our first date, Logan thought that was going to be the last time she ever saw the Cleveland Zoo or aquarium or the zoo. This is the last time seeing anything because I pulled up in a white van and I told her to come outside and she asked why and I wouldn't answer any of her questions. I am very recently good at talking. I was not before. Ask those questions. So let's say you've asked yourself all those questions. You go, yes, I have a good relationship with this person. I have set the groundwork. Chad calls it earning a seat at the table, buying a seat at the table. Have you done that first? Let's say the answer is no. This is where the title, should I stay or should I go, comes in. If the answer is no, don't ask right now. Spend more time laying groundwork first. I really like this person. I want to ask him out. That's great. Do so much other stuff first. Be their friend. Ask them questions. Be interested in their answers. Don't just look interested in their answers. You're going to have to remember that stuff later because they're going to be like, do you remember that story I told you from my childhood? And you're going to be like, we are in our childhood right now because I'm 15 and you're 15 and we shouldn't be dating. What are we doing? I'll see you in 10 years. That's my best advice. Don't date for another 10 years or so. But let's say you ask yourself that and the groundwork is laid. It's time to ask a question. Let's go on to the next A. The next A is ask them if you can. I got it right eventually. Ask them if you can, right? For a lot of interactions, especially ones that we're nervous to do, we have a tendency to just start, the words fall out of the front of your face and they hit the ground before you have any ability to group them together in a meaningful way, right? So let's go back to Jordan, right? You walk up to your parents, hey, I'm going to hang out with Jordan. I'll see you later. And if I'm not home by 10, then I'm going to whatever. It'll be like, hey, what? Who's Jordan? What are you? So Let's back up. Ask them if you can. Hey, man, I remember, like, we've just been talking here. You told me that you're having a really rough time. You're having difficulty seeing, like, what the purposes of life is, or you're having this difficulty here. You know that I'm a Christian because we're good friends, and I've told you that before, and I've invited you to church, and blah, blah, blah. Is it okay if I talk about that for a little bit? Because I think there's some things that might be helpful to hear. Bam, that's you asking permission. Hey, person that I'm friends with, that I would like to be more than friends with, assuming, let's pretend you're 25. You might ask this earlier, but I don't want to think about that. I'm getting sick. Hey, person that I'm interested in, we've been friends for what? This is so uncomfortable. Hey, person I'm interested in, we've been friends for a while. We've hung out in a lot of large group settings, and I've been able to successfully prove to you that I am not dangerous. Would you be interested in sharing a meal with me sometimes? You ask permission, and then the conversation can start. So for everything, there is a level of consent that comes with this. One of my favorite things about your guys' generation is your ability to understand the idea of consent. It's something that happens on social media. It's something that people are talking about, which is not something that I can say for my generation or generations before. But you guys are all comfortable with that word, right? You know what consent means. You know the importance of it. It goes beyond how we talk about consent in everyday life, right? It goes beyond physical consent or consent in those parameters. Every interaction you have with another person is met with some level of consent, right? You can't just be dating me. I have to agree to be dating you. That's consent. If you sell TVs at Best Buy, you can't charge my credit card. You have to ask me if I'm interested in buying a TV. If you sell TVs at Best Buy and there's a customer who's looking at blenders, they have not given you their nonverbal consent to try to sell them a TV just because they're in a Best Buy. But if you sell TVs at Best Buy and someone is in the TV section at Best Buy and they drove their car there and they walked in there and they're looking at a TV and they're checking price tags and they look confused, that's the nonverbal consent to ask them for consent to try to sell them a TV. If somebody wants to hear the word of God, you're probably going to know about it. They're going to have questions, or they're going to be confused about something, or they're going to say, my parents aren't religious, so I've never heard any of this, or I've never been to church, I've never heard any of this. They may not have to specifically say, can you tell me about God? But they have to have done something that tells you maybe it's time to ask. And then you ask before telling them. That is incredibly important because of the next part, the R of AARP. If we can bring up that next slide. Respect and honor their response, no matter what it is, no matter the context of what you're asking about. They will give you a response in some way, whether it's an enthusiastic yes, an enthusiastic no, somewhere in between, or they just seem kind of uninterested about what you're saying. Pro tip for any kind of consent, anything other than an enthusiastic yes should be considered a no until you hear an enthusiastic yes. That's for anything. If you're trying to sell a TV, and you say, are you interested in this TV? And they go, I don't know. You're not allowed to charge their credit card. For those of you picking this up, that is a metaphor for everything in life. If it's not enthusiastic yes, it's a no until it's enthusiastic yes, and they can say no at any time. That's not specifically what this lesson is about, but it's an important lesson to know. If you can go to the next slide, there's another verse there that I want to talk about. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. This is a classic. This is a coffee mug verse. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. I read that in a kind of weird way, because usually when I hear this verse, I'm at a wedding, I'm outside, I'm wearing a 3-piece black suit, I'm sweating to death, and some cute little kid walks up with a Bible and some flowers, and they read this. And they go, love is patient, and love is kind. It does not envy. It does not, and then they sneeze because they're a kid and they're not in control of their bodies. Anyway, I view this more as a checklist. If you want to know if you have love for somebody, whether that's someone you're interested in, whether that's love for your parents before you ask them something or engage in like a really serious conversation, whether it's for a friend of yours or somebody in your life that you want to tell them about God, you have to ask yourself if you love them. So here's a checklist. Love is patient, it's kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud. This is the important thing. This is all important, but it doesn't dishonor. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It does not keep record of wrongs, right? Let's say you have a friend. You want to ask him out. You ask him out because you've done the first two things, right? And they don't want to go out with you. If the next thought in your head is this person is stupid, this person doesn't understand me, why don't girls like nice guys? I almost vomited saying that. That's my least favorite thing that I've ever heard anyone say. And I said it all the time. Girls don't like nice guys. Girls didn't like me. I wore Hawaiian shirts and carried a suitcase everywhere and told everyone that if they didn't believe everything I believed, that they were stupid. That's not a great attitude for forming relationships. I still think all those things, and I still love Hawaiian shirts, but I don't wear them because there are social codes that I abide by now because I'm a productive member of society. If somebody says no to what you're asking them, that is not the green light to hate them, but it is the green light to shut down whatever you're trying to engage, right? You're trying to ask your parents for permission to go see Jordan. They say, no, I don't know anything about them. You can't hang out with them right now. Also, maybe now's not the time. It's too late at night. You have a curfew. You have school tomorrow, whatever the case is. You can't hang out with them. I don't feel comfortable with that. Your parents aren't being mean. They're not being jerks. They don't not understand you. They're just setting that parameter, and it's your job to honor that and respect that. You ask somebody out, they say no, but they're still interested in being friends. You should honor and respect that, because if you do have friend love for them, you should still want to be their friend. And if you think in your head, if this person doesn't want to go out with me, then I don't want to be their friend, you should not ask them out and also stop being their friend, because that's not something that you're interested in. If you want to tell somebody about God and they shut you down and you go, well, we're no longer friends. If you're not going to listen to me talk about God, then we're no longer friends. What that tells to a non-believer, or what that shows to a non-believer, is that you are viewing them as like a mark, right? As somebody that's like, oh, zeroed in, you seem like someone that needs Jesus, and I'm the guy to tell you. What? You don't want to hear about Jesus? I have nothing to say to you anymore. That shuts them down. That lets the people know that makes it seem like you never cared about him in the first place. So be prepared for rejection. And if you are rejected in any way, you have to respect that, and you have to honor that, and you have to continue being that person's friend, unless it makes you realize that you shouldn't be friends with that person, or you shouldn't be continuing this relationship, which is perfectly fine. But what if the person says yes? You've laid the groundwork. You've asked yourself, should I be asking this person this thing? You've decided that you should. You ask them. They go, yes, I'd like to hear more about this. Tell me more about God. Tell me more about this date to the aquarium. Tell me more about this Jordan person that you'd like to go play basketball with. Then we go on to P of AARP. We go on to P and poop. Go on to P. I'm sorry. Proceed with preparation and confidence. This is super important. Weirdly, in my opinion, this is the least important of the three, because you need to do the first three before doing this one. But when this happens and somebody gives you consent and they go, I'd like to hear more about this, please continue. Proceed with preparation and confidence. So you can't just go, oh, well, in that case, Jesus is a cool guy. You need to have something to say that's of value that they want to hear, right? Telling somebody about Jesus is one of the most important messages that you can give to a person, so you need to have something prepared for them to take, right? You want to ask somebody out on a date, that's really important. And if they go, you know what? Tell me more about this, I might be interested. You go, oh, well, I'm nice. That you're shut down. If you go, oh, well, in that case, we've been hanging out for several weeks. We've hung out in a lot of group situations, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. I feel like there's no chance that you're going to kill me. Hopefully I've proved to you that there's no chance I'm going to kill you, and I'd love for us to have some fried pickles sometimes. That's great. That's prepared. And then when you go on that first date, be prepared to talk, engage in conversation, and get to know this person and all that good stuff. I think there's one more verse too. If we can go to the next one, please. But in your hearts, this is 1 Peter 3:15, by the way. But in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Somebody giving you permission to open up about yourself in any context, whether that's a date or talking to a friend or introducing yourself to someone or in a job interview or telling them about God. Another human being saying, please open up, I'd like to hear more about you. That is such a incredible gift that you have, the opportunity to share yourself with somebody. And it's important that you have something of value to say. And I believe, with what little I know about all of you, that all of you have something of value to give to somebody in any context. Don't shake you do, I'm sure. I don't know, probably. If not, we'll talk. We'll get you something. We'll teach you guitar. I've heard it's nice. Every single one of you has something of incredibly high value. Many different things of incredibly high value to share with other people. And if you're able to do that in an effective way, there are so many things in life that can go easier. You just know those things. So what I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to step off the stage without rolling an ankle and going to the hospital. I get so nervous with these steps. If you could, I'm going to do this because I'm not wearing a mask right now, so I'm just going to hand this to you as far away as possible. If you could hand everybody one of those, and then you could hand everybody one of these, however you want to do it. What I want you guys to do, because I'm teaching tomorrow, so show up, figure it out. Ask your parents. It's a 2-night show. I'm teaching next week as well. What I would like to do is for each of you to think about something in your life that you're like, oh, I've been putting off asking this person this. I've been putting off bringing up this conversation with this person. How do I do it? Or I did bring up this thing to this person. They reacted this way. What do I do next? So on the top of the card, if you could write AARP, because there's a couple other cards in there, just write AARP. You don't have to write your name. You don't have to write your friend's name. You can be very vague about it, because I'm going to be reading all these cards, and then I'm going to be bringing them up next week in a very vague way. So I'm not going to be like, Corbin peed his pants last week, and he doesn't know what to do. That's not what I'm here to do. By the way, I peed my pants last week, so we all do it. I'm good at talking. I'm not good at bladder control. That's not true. I didn't pee my pants, but I'm trying to take the pressure off of Corbin. He didn't pee his pants. Calm down, everybody. So, write something down. I'm going to read it. I'm going to mull it over. And because I'm the wisest person whose opinion you should value over all else, I'll be teaching on that next week as well. So, write that down. And then put it in the life advice Dropbox right over there, and I'll read them. Well, you guys are doing that. And then the third thing is I want you to throw your Snapple on the ground as hard as you possibly can, and then try and fail to juggle your pen. If you could all do that real quick, that'd be good too. Just cause a ruckus. Anyway, so write those down now. I'll close us out in prayer. You can continue to write throughout however long it takes you. Write something, even if you just write hi. Everyone write something down and put it in there. So you do that. I'm going to close this in prayer, and then that's it. Go home. No, there's going to be music afterwards. So I'll close this out. Dear God, I just want to thank you so much for this incredible night, this incredible opportunity to gather together, which we value now more than ever, God. This past year has taught us how incredibly valuable it is to be able to see each other and be close with each other and grow together with you, God. Lord, I pray that everyone's situation in life, because we all come across situations where we have these crucial conversations that we want to have with others, God. I pray that these guys have the wisdom and the guidance and the patience and the protection to engage in these things, God. talking with other humans, and especially talking with other humans about you, God, is so incredibly important and valuable and amazing. And I thank you for all of us to have the ability to do that, God. And Lord, I also pray for just everybody in this room in general, for anything that they're going through, God. We pray that the things that are said and the things that are not said be heard by you, God. We lift those all up. And we lift up the next week to you, God, too, that it just be full of learning and understanding and productivity, God, until we gather next week. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.